Hi everyone and welcome to this brand new video. In today's video I'm going to be reviewing the Derwent Lightfast Pencils and the Derwent Lightfast Paper. Now I've never used this paper before, so this is the first time I've used it to draw this portrait here. This is Trevelyan Black Harry. So I'm continuing with my Welsh Cob theme, and this is my second Welsh Cob original piece that I've been doing. But this one is totally different because I'm using different materials. Like I said, I've never used this paper before. And I've used a few of these Derwent pencils before, but I haven't used them by themselves. So I'm going to be reviewing in this video what I think about these pencils and what I think about the paper. So I've gotten this far on the portrait so far. I still have his back end to do, his hooves, and just generally tidy up the rest of the portrait. Now I'd made a little swatch sheet here of all the colours that I've used so far in the portrait. So every time I used a colour, I swatched it down and wrote the name next to it. I am completely unfamiliar with all the pencils in the Lightfast range. I am so used to the Polychromos. I've been using the Polychromos for a good 5 years, I think, and I know the colours off by heart. I know which colours work well together. I know which colours work for different coloured horses and so on. But I was completely lost starting off with the Lightfast pencils. Now, the biggest pencil that I missed was the Polychromos Dark Sepia. I'm totally lost in this portrait without my Dark Sepia pencil, and I can't find a Lightfast pencil that is similar to the Dark Sepia pencil. What I have been doing is sort of mixing the browns and blacks, but what I found, the biggest thing I found with these Lightfast pencils is they are so colourful and super pigmented. Let's see if this will focus on here. There we go. So you can see the black is very black, but then we have a few different kinds of black. We have midnight black here, which is sort of like a very navy kind of black. It isn't pure black. It's more like the dark indigo Polychromos. And then we have the Mars black, which is sort of a more brownish based black, but it also has a lot of like violet tones in there as well. So I started to use the Mars black as my dark sepia, thinking it would be similar, but it's totally not. And if you use a lot of it, you get this very sort of purpley, violety kind of tone in there as well. And then the second thing was all the warm greys and the cold greys. Now, we don't have warms and cold greys. We have different names for the greys in the Lightfast pencils. So we have Mist, which is sort of more of a cold grey, more like a cold grey 1 or 2. Then we have Fossil, which has got sort of like pinkish brown tones in there as well. We have Platinum, which is almost like the cold grey 3 or 4. Then we have Cloud Grey, which when I first swatched it, it looked fine and it looked like a nice dark grey. But the more I used it, the more I found Cloud Grey was a lot more like silver, and it has sort of like that silvery sheen, shininess to it. So I tend not to use the Cloud Grey much. And then we have the Cool Grey, which confused me because to me Cool Grey would be like a cold grey, but this is a lot more like the Warm Grey 3 in the Polychromos. Then we have Granite, which is more like a cold grey 5. I used a lot of that Granite in this portrait so far. And then we have Taupe, which is like a very light brownish grey. And then we have Moonstone, which is more like a Warm Grey 2, I found. And then we do down here, you get on camera. Oh, where am I? Here we go. Trying to look at the screen while looking at what I'm doing. Let's just focus on that there. So we have this warm grey as well. And that is more like, it's got more brown tones in it more than the warm greys that we have in the Polychromos range. So this really threw me. I had no idea what to do with my base colours, and I'm still struggling. If you can see this portrait, you can see how colourful it is. There's a lot of very pigmented, bright colours there and not many neutral tones, so I've really struggled to try and get some neutral tones in here. So I've been mixing the pencils together a lot. I'm making sure I pop the reference photo in this video as well, so you can see I didn't really choose the easiest photo for myself either. It's actually a black horse, but there's so much shine. There's lots and lots of blue tones at top here, and then sort of more dark browns and blacks in the bottom here. And all the greys are very, very colourful, so you can see how very colourful it is here. All the purples are starting to show through, and you can see all the purples in the face, where I use a lot of Mars black, thinking that it would be more like the dark sepia, but it is not. And then down here, I tried to get some more like warm greys, but you can see it's still very brown. I used a lot of the Van Dyke brown, I think it was. Let me just check my pencils, which one I was using. I'm not sure if I swatched it actually. This Warm Earth. Had I swatched the Warm Earth? No, I'm going to swatch it now. So this, let's just zoom, focus on that, there we go. So this is the Warm Earth colour, and I've been using that sort of on the bottom here to try and get more warm tones, because it's a very cold toned horse, but I wanted to get more warm tones down here where all the shadow is, and he's got more brown in his coat. Because as a black horse, you still get brown tones in the coat and some of these reddish tones as well. So really try to get some more warmness into him, so he's not just a bluey purplish horse, and try and match the reference a bit better as well. Now the second thing I noticed, I think it's the second thing, I've lost count of what, another thing that I noticed is this paper takes a lot of layers. It's very rough compared to the Fabriano. So this is the Fabriano paper. I might take a photo of the both of these and try and get the texture on camera for you all to see. But this is not as smooth as the Fabriano, but it's not rough like pastel matte. It does feel very cotton-like and almost like watercolour paper. It's hard to describe. It feels very, very papery. And very cotton-like, but it takes so many layers, and trying to layer all of these the Lightfast pencils on top of each other, and I'm not sure, see if I can zoom in here, see if it will focus there. I'm not sure if you can see, but like some of the tuss of the paper is still coming through, and now this is after several layers. So I'm not sure if it's just the paper or it's the pencils, but I do want to try this paper with the Polychromos because I think it would work lovely. I'm just going to zoom back out there. Another thing that I found with these pencils is they are so creamy and blendable. And I found that they work a lot more like pastel pencils than colour pencils, and I'm struggling to get any fine details in. If I can zoom into the face, I'm not the best camera person at all whatsoever. I can just zoom the face there. I've tried my best to get some details in the bit and details around the eye, but it's so hard. This, you can see by the size of my hand, it's not a very large drawn head, but it's so difficult to get fine details in with a sharp point. Now you can sharpen these very well. Here is one sharpened, so you can get a nice point on them, but then as soon as you start using them, that point goes down very, very fast. Let me see if it'll come up on paper here. See if I can focus that. As soon as you start going, like, it just gets rid of the point so fast, and you can't use much pressure, I find, because they're so soft that they just sort of crumble straight away. So trying to get a really, really fine point and then start using it, I just couldn't get any fine details. And that's where I've really been missing my Polychromos, because they have such a hard nib and keep that fine point that you can get really tiny little details in. So I have struggled with these pencils to get those tiny details in, which if you know my work, I love getting all the teeny tiny little details in, all the tiny bits of fur texture. And if you see on the mane here, I've had to sort of just use my pencils really lightly. I'm trying to find a pencil. And just sort of like really lightly do it. I can't do any hard because it sort of goes like really soft. I found them very similar to using oil pastels. If anyone's used oil pastels before, I'm just going to zoom out a sec again so you can see the whole portrait and adjust my camera. There we go. They're very, very blendable, like oil pastels. You can sort of, when you put layers on top of each other, you can feel that they're oil-based and not wax-based. And what I have been doing to blend them is, I haven't used these on colour pencils before. I've been using these blending stumps. So these I usually use for graphite portraits, but I actually have been using them with these pencils on this paper, and it's actually worked very well. Because these pencils are so rich and vibrant, I wanted to get like subtle blending in them and get some lighter colours. So I have been using these pencil stumps and sort of putting my layers down really lightly and then using this to sort of blend them into each other. So if I can zoom in again. Sorry, I'm so back and forth with this camera. Hopefully you'll be able to see some. So you can see I've put some light sort of messy layers here on the black. And then I've been going in with the pencil stumps, using a bit of pressure and sort of just blending them into the tusk of the paper and into the rest of the pencil layers. And that's been working quite nice for me, especially on this shoulder here. Just move the camera. So on this shoulder here, I've used so many layers. And another thing, I hope I'm not rambling and going too fast for everyone, but another thing I noticed is you can put so many layers on. So if you go too dark, you can put lights over dark. So I'm just going to show you on this shoulder here. Let's pick a pencil. I'm going to pick quite a light one. So this is Moonstone. It's almost like a warm grey. And I'm just going to sharpen it. Now, usually with my Polychromos and my Pablos, I use this sharpener, the Faber-Castell Trio Pot, but these just do not fit in them at all. They're too thick. The barrel is too thick to be used in them. So I've been using, I've zoomed in quite far now, this Swordfish Icon sharpener. So this is the one I've been using for them. So I'm just going to use this now quickly. And this is the kind of point that I can get. So it's a lovely sharp point, but that like sort of crumbles away very easy. So I'm just going to show you on the shoulder here, just by here. I'm hoping you can see it on camera. You can see how light I can go back over that, and it's really, really good for getting some like subtle shines. But then I can go back in with, which colour should I use? I need like a darker colour. So this is a colour I've used a lot, as you can tell. It's very, very short now. This is Granite, and it's more like a cold grey 5, and cold grey 4 to 5. I'm just going to sharpen that again. And we can go back over the top of that. And then to darken that further, I've been using a lot of black. I don't like using black in portraits. I'd rather mix colours to get it, but I really can't figure it out with these pencils. So this is the black, and I've just been using this very, very lightly over the top, like this, just to sort of like darken in some of the areas a little bit. And you can see how like there's been so many layers put over the top of these. Like, so I struggled to get the colour right on this shoulder. So I was going back and forth with my lights and darks. So I do that, and then I get my pencil stump blender, and then I blend that in. So I wouldn't sort of go hard pressure with my black. I just put a black tone, light layer of black, and then sort of blend it in to sort of darken some of my pencils, which is not what I usually do with Polychromos, but I find it works well this way. And you can get some nice shine, as you can see. I'm hoping it looks shiny and not that he looks like he's got white streaks on him. I'm hoping it works. Saying that as well, the white pencil is excellent. So this is the Derwent White one. And I have used this to blend some of my white highlights. So I've been using that over the top. I'm just going to show you how good this white is. I'm not going to draw it on the portrait. I don't want to ruin it. What I'm going to do is get a black. Now this is on the Fabriano, but it's very similar to the Lightfast paper. But anyway, this is about the pencils, not the paper. But if I show you, if I do a few layers of this black. So get a good few layers down, getting nice and dark. So you can see they are very, very rich, vibrant pencils, and they are lovely. I'm just going to sharpen the white. And then if we just look how well that white shows up over the black. I'm not sure you can see it as good on camera. And if I just keep going over. So there we go. And then you can also use like other colours over the top. So if I use this one, this is Dark Honey. So if you wanted to get like subtle highlights in the coat when you're using black. Sorry, I'm still not used to the focus on this camera. I'm not sure that's showing up very well on camera, but you can see where I've gone over the top of that black. So what I have been doing is using some of my darker tones here and then going over my lighter tones to blend and get some like subtle highlights in the coat. So I'm just going to zoom out now so you can see the rest again. There we go. I'm trying to think what else. There was loads of things that I wanted to mention and I should have wrote them down. I think the other trouble that I had was trying to get, I mentioned the dark sepia, and also trying to get like a really dark grey, because the only dark grey that we got then is this cloud grey pencil. And like I said, it gives a really like silvery sheen on it. Like it looks, if I can swatch it down here and see if you can see it on camera. I wonder if this will show up. I don't know if it's going to show, but it sort of like has a sheen to it, so it's more like a silver pencil than a grey, and it was starting to make my portrait look a bit shiny in areas, so I stopped using this grey. And then the second darkest grey we got is the Granite, and it's more of like a blue, so this is why my portrait looks so blue, which kind of helps because there are blue tones there, but I'd rather have more of a neutral tone. So that's why I've been using the warm earth over the top to try and like cancel out some of the blue, because it's got like orangey-ish tones in there, like orangey brownish, which cancels out blue tones. What else was I trying? That's with, so it looks like by here I've used purple, but this is actually the Mars Black pencil. So my overall trouble is all these pencils, they are so colourful, it needs more neutral earth sort of tones. There are some in the browns, but in the blacks it needs like a few more neutral greys, not so like colourful greys, and it needs a bigger range of greys, because if we look at the swatch sheet, here we go. These are the only greys that we have, and they're very similar to each other. There's no like big difference. Like that's the cloud grey, which is very dark, but like I said, it's more like a silver. So if we ignore that cloud grey, those greys are so similar, and there's very few. So compared to the Polychromos, where I think you have 6 warm greys and 6 cold greys, that's 12 pencils I've got to work from. And then in this, I think we've got the warm grey down here as well. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sort of grey colours. So yeah, I found that very tricky in this portrait. And then also the browns are very colourful as well, like they're really rich, like this, what was this pencil? This was the sepia red and the autumn brown, and you can see how vibrant it is. These pencils are so vibrant, but I think what I'd have to do to give a true review is draw something in a different colour as well. So try not to draw a black horse, because I'm struggling with the colours to draw a black horse, but then it is quite a colourful horse at the same time, so just trying to balance that out. But I think if I try and draw something else with just these pencils, to give like a fair review where it's not just one portrait. But I think these mixed with the Polychromos would be excellent. I'm so tempted to go in with Polychromos over the top to add in all my little details and just blend a few areas and get a few more neutral tones in. But I want to see what an overall portrait will look like using just the Lightfast pencils. So I'm sticking to my guns and I'm making sure I only use the Lightfast pencils and leave it at that. But what I might do, depending on time, is redraw this portrait using whichever pencils I feel like using or feel like I need, and maybe on my Fabriano paper as well, and just like compare the differences and see how I work in my usual medium than this medium. I haven't said much about the paper yet. I said that it feels a lot rougher than the Fabriano, but it works exactly like the Fabriano. It takes layers beautifully. You can blend on it. Like I said, it takes a lot of layers. I've been going over this same section. There's about a good 20-30 layers there, and it still takes it on top, no problem. And I don't know if that would be the same with the Polychromos. It might just be that it's the Lightfast pencils. If I keep saying luminance, I mean Lightfast. They both begin with L, and it's confusing me. My small little brain. But yeah, so that's my opinions on the Lightfast. The same, I was going to say as well, the blacks. So the Midnight Black I've been using a lot in this portrait to sort of get those dark blue tones in, but it's so blue. I might swatch it again just to show you exactly how blue it is when I can find it. Where is that pencil? And that is another thing actually I need to mention. They all, like the luminance pencils, they all have wooden cases, and I find, let me just pick up a few. So this is how they look on their ends, and I find that the barrel, these bits, very rarely match what the actual colour is like. So I'm having to learn the colours, the names on the barrel to find the colour I need, rather than looking at the colours on the barrels. I'm having to look at more my swatch sheet, because they don't really match the nibs as much. There was one colour, I can't remember which one it was, and the casing looked completely different. This is a good example, but not as good as what I did see before. I'm trying to focus this camera on this little bit. Hang on. Go with it. There we go. So you can see how dark that blue is there, and yet the nib is sort of like a bright blue colour. And if I swatch it, which one was this? Ocean Blue Dark. Oh, I've already swatched it by here. Where is it? Ocean Blue Dark. So the nib looks like a completely different colour. It's really odd. It looks like it come out more like this colour, but no, it comes out a very dark blue. So that's kind of misleading as well. Like if this was just stood up in the pot, oh, like this, I'd expect it to come out a different colour. Right, the focus on this camera is really annoying me. There we go. So yeah, that is kind of off-putting as well. Like with my Polychromos, I can see the barrel, I know exactly what colour it is. With these, I have to sort of look and then pick up the pencils and look at the colour name, rather than the colour of the nibs or the ends of the pencil, because they're quite misleading, I found, but that might just be me. The same with these greys. The three of them look so similar to each other. So I have to pick up the pencil and sort of look at the name of the pencil rather than the colour of the pencil. So yeah, there's that as well. I'm trying to think if there's something else. Right, how they erase. They erase completely fine, just like the Polychromos. So let me just focus back on the horse. I have been using my putty eraser in some places, which has been working lovely. I've also been using my Tombow mono eraser, which works lovely as well, just the same as any other pencils. I had used the slice tool, I think. I'm trying to think if I did. Pretty sure I used the slice tool somewhere. I think I tried to lift some of the eye highlight. And that worked fine as well. So my only problem with this portrait, which is really bugging me, is I can't get any fine details in this bridle here. It looks really fuzzy. So I think with this portrait, I'm trying to aim for more of a painterly style than my usual high detailed portrait. So I'm going for more of the tones and getting the lights and the darks rather than all the tiny little details, which has bugged me, but I think it'll work better for these pencils. Like I say, if I were to use these pencils as underlayers and then Polychromos on top, it'll be perfect. But I'm trying to do a portrait with just the Lightfasts. But yeah, I think I'm going to continue using the Lightfast, but as base layers and for blending. And I don't think I'd be able to cope without my Polychromos and other colours, because I think this was the 100 pencil set. It was the big box wooden set. I'm going to have to put in the description how many colours I got. I got the full set anyway, but I'm still struggling to find colours. I think there's a lot of very vibrant, bright colours, and then a lot of the lighter colours are very, very similar to each other. So I've struggled to sort of get mid-tones in here and some neutral tones. But I think supplemented with the Polychromos, they would be excellent pencils, and I'm really happy with the purchase anyway. I'm glad I got them. It was lovely to try out some new pencils as well, and from going from using Polychromos, which I was totally comfortable with, and then using a new set of pencils, it was relearning how to use the Polychromos, relearning all the colours, relearning how to blend them with each other, relearning what colours go well with each other and what colours don't go well with each other, which colours to mix to get a certain tone, and so on and so forth. So it was really cool to sort of feel back as a beginner again and not knowing what to do and sort of figuring it all out as I went along. There's some areas in this portrait, like here, where I tried to use a purple tone, and it's really bright there. And you can see where I use a lot of the Mars black in the face, where it's given that sort of purpley violet tone as well. So this portrait isn't perfect, but it's nice to sort of try something new again and use a different brand. And trying the paper as well is really nice. So it's completely new to me. But I think I only bought one sheet of this paper to try from the colour pencil shop. So I bought one sheet, I think it was £4, because the pads are really expensive. So I didn't want to buy a full pad, find out I didn't like the paper, and then waste my money. But I think I am going to invest in a pad and start using this paper with Polychromos and see how it goes. I was also asked to compare them to the Luminance pencils as well. They are very, very similar to the Luminance pencils. They're as soft as Luminance pencils. They're blendable exactly like the Luminance pencils. The only difference is the Luminance have a bigger colour range, I find, and I like my favourite Luminance pencils are all the 10% and 50%, because they have those nice mid-tones and subtle tones and pastel kind of tones. And I feel like the Luminance are a lot smoother to lay. I'm trying to think of a good way to describe. Some of these Lightfast pencils feel almost sticky to use, like when you use oil pastels, if anyone's used them before, and you sort of get that sticky, almost like crayons, I suppose, but that's wax. I'm trying to think of how, but yeah, the Luminance feel more like pencils, whereas the Lightfast feel more oily and slippery, if that makes sense. It's hard to describe. But yeah, they are very similar to the Luminance. I prefer the Luminance because of all their colour range, and because I think just because I'm familiar with the Luminance, whereas I'm not with the Lightfasts. So anyway, my overall review is they are lovely pencils. They're brilliant to work with. They blend together really, really nice. They're very blendable with a pencil stump as well, which I found was cool. I find they blend a lot like pastel pencils. Because I've used pastel pencils in the past, and I found it hard to get fine points and lots of little details. So it did remind me of using pastels, especially blending with a pencil stump as well. A paper stump, I can't remember what you call these, but one of these anyway. And I find you can use lighter colours on top of dark colours, and you can keep layering on top over and over and over, and you can still get light tones on top of dark tones, which I really liked for sort of getting the shine on the coat. You can get like subtle tones on top of dark tones. Like here, it was quite dark, and then I used, what was that colour again? The warm earth colour to get sort of the neutral tone over the top, and a little bit of a sort of like brownish highlight there on the neck, which I really like in this piece. I think I have covered everything. I'm going to do a full colour swatch video soon, so I'm just going to swatch each colour, write the name next to it, and sort of time-lapse it, so you can all see in person or sort of on camera what all the colours look like on a swatch sheet. So yeah, I'm going to carry on working now on the rest of the horse, so you can see how I work. So I'm just going to get my reference up a moment. I feel like I've rambled on for ages, so if you're still watching, I really appreciate it, and I hope it's been interesting, and I hope this has helped you all. If you are looking to invest in some Lightfast pencils, I would highly recommend them, but I would use them alongside the Polychromos as well. Also, a big thing I was thinking of saying was, if you're a pastel pencil artist looking to move into colour pencils, I would definitely suggest these, because I do find them very similar to pastels. So now I'm going to work on the end of his bottom here. So what I've been doing is using the platinum pencil. So I'm having to pick up the pencils and look rather than just picking up the pencil. Neither of them are platinum. Where is my platinum pencil? There it is, because it's short. I've been using this pencil a lot in this portrait for all the sort of light blue tones. So I'm just looking at my reference now. So I'm just going to work quietly for a bit now and give my voice a rest. So I'm just putting this platinum down as my base layer. So you can see how nice they lay down. And I'm just going to remove some of my graphite lines by here. It hasn't got much of a tail in this reference either. His tail's sort of like over to the side. So I haven't got much tail to draw. So I'm still using this platinum as my base layer. What I'm also doing as well is using different pressures to get darker tones. So you can see I'm using harder pressure to get that darker tone. Like I find with these as well, you don't have to worry, like with Polychromos, if you use hard pressure, it's hard to get layers over the top, but with these, it doesn't really matter how hard you press down, you can still get lots of layers on top. So now I'm going to go in with my Granite pencil and start darkening that. He's almost got like dapples on his bum end, which is a sign of a really healthy coat, I believe. So I'm not using any techniques to get any fur texture or anything like that. I'm just looking at tonal values and just getting a nice smooth layers. I did try on sort of the neck area to get some like fur strokes in, but it just didn't work. The pencils were like too thick nibs, like I couldn't get the nibs sharp enough and to stay sharp to get in fine details. They sort of just crumble and get blunt really quick. You can see, I hope you can see on camera here, how many different colours I've got on that area. Like I know if I was to use the Polychromos, I'd probably go in with a lot of Payne's grey and some of the cold greys, and then maybe a little bit of sepia on top. but I can't with these pencils. So I think it's just adjusting to a new way of working. Whereas my mind is so used to using the Polychromos that it would just go, oh, okay, I need a Payne's Grey for that, I need a dark indigo for that. My brain is sort of, okay, now what pencils do I use? And trying to figure out which ones are similar. But I think that might be where I'm going wrong. I'm just trying to find similarities to the Polychromos rather than figuring out how to use the Lightfast and figuring out which colours work with each other to get certain effects and certain tones. So here I'm sort of flicking this darker shade into the lights, and then I'll go over with a lighter colour to blend it out. So now I'm using the platinum over the top to start blending it out with each other. So I'm just going to colour all this section with this platinum. Just need to erase some bits here. I've got all marks on this page and I'm not sure if that's my fault or the paper just marks very easy, but it might be my fault. Because I had this paper in storage, not covered, for a long time. I bought the paper and then I just didn't have a chance to use it because I had so many commissions to do. So it might be my fault for not storing it very well. But I am going to invest in a pad of this paper because I do really like it. I haven't made up my mind whether I like it more than the Fabriano because I've only used it the once with the Lightfast pencil, so you never know, it might work differently with Polychromos and Pablos and Luminance. But that's why I want to get a pad of it so I can give it another go and give it a full test run with all my different pencils. I don't think I'll use it for a commission yet, until I've drawn a few originals on it and probably got to grips with it, so I know what I'm doing when it comes to a commission piece. And this is exactly why I wanted to test an original piece and not a commission piece, because I think if I did a commission using just Lightfast and the Lightfast paper, it wouldn't be to my usual standard, and it's also taken me a lot longer than usual to get this far in this piece, because half of it has just been me figuring out and experimenting with different colours and correcting like little mistakes. So I would have been a lot longer with a commission piece. They're very quick to work with as well. That sounded really hypocritical then. This has taken me a long time, but they're quick to work with. I mean quick as in to fill an area like this. You can get a lot down very quick. There we go. And now I do want to make this sort of smoother and get rid of the tuss of the paper, but I don't want to add more of this layer because it'll start darkening. So what I like to do is use the white pencil, where's my white gone? And start sort of like blending that into the paper, because he is very light on this side of him, where all these highlights are. So I'm using sort of like a medium pressure and a circular motion to really push that pigment into the paper and get it nice and blended and smooth. Just going to zoom in a little so you can see where I'm doing more. And also my pencils never stay sharp. See if you can see that. And then, so you can see how blunt the pencil is already getting, but I'm sort of just working with that at the moment. So it is similar to pastels of not being able to keep a sharp point. I'm sort of just turning my pencil as I go and finding the sharp part of the pencil. Now we got a little bit more darker patch there. So I'm going to go back in with my Granite and use a light pressure and sort of like sketch it out. And just follow the sort of shape and pattern of it. So like I said, I think I chose quite tricky reference to work from with these pencils. Because he's a black horse, but there's not much black on him and there's lots of blues and lots of light shining on him. Which almost makes my drawing look very odd until you see the reference and you're like, ah, that's where all that light is coming from. So I'm just looking at the dark tones at the moment and just sort of lightly putting that in with this Granite pencil. And we got a darker tone up here as well. You can see how well it layers over the top, like there's nothing underneath it, like you're working on a fresh piece of paper. Like I said, I'm not sure if it's the paper or the pencils that help it layer over the top of each other, it could be both. But I know when I have used the Lightfast pencils in other portraits, like the odd pencil here and there, they have been excellent for blending and layering over the top of each other. I remember I used a lot of the chocolate brown in one portrait and it gave such a rich effect. But then I could easily put more layers on top of it as well. So I think if you're used to working in lots and lots of layers and you enjoy lots of layers, go for the Lightfast and the Lightfast paper. They do work lovely together. But you do need to sort of burnish as well because you do get a lot of the tuss of the paper showing through as well. The only thing I haven't tried is solvents on this paper, but I don't use solvents. So it's not something I would try anyway because it's not how I work or a usual way of me working. Right, what I'm going to do now, I need a bit more like of a dark blue. So I'm going to use the, I think it's called Midnight Black, isn't it? Now it's trying to find my Midnight Black. There it is. So I'm just going to try and sharpen it a bit. And I'm going to use it lightly over the top and you'll see just how blue it is. It is more like a dark indigo colour. And there's not much black tone in there at all. So I think it's a little bit misleading calling it black because it's more blue than black. But I'm just using it lightly over the top just to get a subtle tone of it. Just like that. And then I'm going to go in. I don't want to add any more blue to it, so I think I'm going to go in with that cool grey, which is a bit like a warm grey. And I'm just going to push that in. So with like medium pressure and circular motion and just sort of like blending it in. You can see it's still gone really blue. Like where this cool grey is like lightened it. It's more like a really light blue colour. So that is where I'm struggling. You can see how blue that looks now. What I might do is try, all of this portrait has been a lot of trial and error. I'm going to put some dark chocolate over the top. Where's my dark chocolate pencil? Here it is. So I want to try and tone that down. So I'm just going to put a little bit of dark chocolate over the top. Just very lightly, holding the pencil right at the edge, just to get a little tiny bit of that colour in. And then I'm going to go over the top with the Granite, I think. And sort of blend that colour in. It's kind of like painting, just blending different colours together, but on the page rather than on a palette. So this is kind of where I'm struggling. I can't really match the colours on the reference with these pencils. And that's where I start doubting my abilities as well. I'm like, am I really an artist if I can't blend my colours enough and mix my colours enough to match a photo? But it's just a different way of working, and I haven't figured it out yet. It's all new to me. And not everyone is a genius that can work things out straight away. Maybe after a few months of working with these pencils I'll figure it out, but I'm still going to stick with my Polychromos and use these to sort of like supplement them, I think. Because I still don't have the full set of luminance pencils, which I do in some point want to get the full set of luminance and do the exact same thing and do one portrait using just luminance pencils and see how I go with them, because I do really love the luminance. Sure, I've got the shape of his back end wrong here, but when I look at the reference, it does look oddly shaped in the reference as well. The same with his back along here. I still need to go over the back and define it a bit more. If you look in the reference, he does have that sort of like dark line, and then he's got a lot of light here. And I'm going to darken that while I'm here, I think. It looks very light now. I was working upstairs on this portrait, where the light is different. And I find when I come downstairs then, my portraits look a lot lighter and I have to go over them. Because I can only film downstairs because my partner is working in the office upstairs. So I can't film up there, but I usually work up there because all my stuff is up there. So there we go, darkening that a little more. I'm just going to use that platinum to blend all that. I'm starting to learn what colours to use. So I've been using a lot of the platinum and the Granite pencil, and then the Warm Earth, some of the Mars Black and some of the Midnight Black. They're the main sort of pencils that I've been using. I think his back looks a little better now. I'm just going to continue working down here. So I'm going to use the Granite because this is quite a dark patch down here. And then we need some browns in there. So I'm sort of being really rough with my base layers. I'm just going to get rid of my graphite line by here. I need to get one of those pencil brushes as well for brushing away rubber dust, so I'm not smudging my page all the time. So that's that dark shape. So as you can see, I'm more focusing on the shapes of tones rather than like texture or anything. Almost looks like a paint by numbers, and you just fill in different sections and different colours. Right, and I'm going to go in with my platinum. I'm just going to put another layer over the top and really sort of blend that out. So this is what I mean on top then. You can start to feel sort of like a little resistance, like it feels sticky. I'm not sure if that's the right word. I don't know if you can hear that. It's hard to explain. Just need a quick drink. I think because of lockdown, the most I talk is when I'm filming. And my throat isn't used to talking so much, and it gets really dry when I'm doing films and tutorials. Right, now I'm going to have to sharpen it. You can see how blunt it's getting. Come on, camera. Here we go. You can see that is pretty blunt now. So I'm just going to sharpen that. And carry on smoothing this sort of layer out. And blending this layer out. There's going to be a lot of browns going over the top of here. So when I blend, I go into the darker area and then I come out into the light area. I like overlapping the colours, they blend together nicely then. I need a harder pressure in the dark areas and then a lighter pressure when I come out into the light areas. You can see I'm not paying much attention to fur direction or anything like that. I'm just getting a nice smooth layer. Work on tones rather than details, like I said earlier. So move back in with my granite and dark this a little further again. So I don't know if everyone else agrees, but it does give more of like a soft pastel effect than the realistic fine detail look. Or it might just be because I'm working different, I don't know. I'd love to hear what everyone thinks though, so let me know in the comments. It's always nice to get other people's opinions as well. And what they think about the pencils, what they think about how my work looks, if it looks completely different, or if it looks similar, or if it looks better, or if you prefer my other style of work. It's always nice to know what other people think. But please be friendly about it. You probably just hear that motorbike passing then. If you're all wondering what that noise was. So I'm still just going over and sort of like adjusting the darker areas. Just filling it in roughly. I tend to like fill in roughly and then go over the top and burnish and blend it. And blend this out a little bit more and then start getting some browns in there, I think. Okay, so let's get some browns in there. I'm just going to get my swatch sheet. I think we used some of the Van Dyke and the Sepia Red together. The Van Dyke for more of those lighter tones and then the Sepia Red for those darker tones. So we go in with the Van Dyke first. I'm just going to lightly put that around the edge. This also tends to warm up the area as well. Get some of those warmer tones in. So I'm using this very, very lightly over the top. I'll probably finish this little area and then call it for this video because it's going to be a very long video. But I thought it would be nice to add me working on it as well, so you can see exactly how the pencils work rather than me just talking about them. Which one did we say? We said the sepia red, didn't we? Here's the sepia red. Here it is. And I'm just going to put a bit of that over the top as well. And then I think some of the chocolate brown to get some nice dark tones in. Actually, I might use a bit of the autumn brown for a bit more red first. Here's my autumn brown. See, it's so hard to identify the pencils. So I have to read each one. Do I have my autumn brown down here? I do. Here it is. So just along here. See, and now this is another thing with the pencils. If I show you here, if you look at that nib, I'm hoping it looks like it'll be sort of like a burnt umber kind of pencil, burnt umber kind of colour, and then this is the colour on the barrel, which also looks like a very dark brown. Then when we swatch it at the top here, come on, you can see like it's a very reddish brown. I'm just gonna see that it's more like a red. Oh, blinking camera. There we go. And I have to learn how to use this camera. I'm using a spot focus at the moment. So I just tap the screen and it focuses on something. So I have to keep checking the camera to make sure it's focusing. Anyway, I'm going to put some of this reddish brown down. And use a bit of dark chocolate. Just chocolate, I mean, it's not dark chocolate. But it's a darker colour. Put that over the top. So you can see it takes so many layers. And just blend that out a little. You can see that looks very messy at the moment. But then what we do is just putting like colour down on the page. And then I get my Granite and I go over the top and blend all that out. So they're super, super blendable. You can see how soft it looks now when I put that Granite over the top with some pressure. It just like blends it all together. And then if I feel like it needs a bit more, then I'll go over the top. So I'm going to use Van Dyke and go along that edge again. Try to sharpen that line on the outside. You can see there how many layers we can keep getting over the top, no matter how much pressure we're putting down as well. You can blend that top bit out. And then where I've put the granite over the top, it's sort of made it a little lighter, so I'm going to go back over it again with the autumn brown to get a bit more of that reddish tone in. You can see how bright that already comes out, using such tiny pressure as well. It's like there's no layers under there. And now I'm going to use a bit of the chocolate on top just to darken that a little bit because it's very vibrant. And just blend it out so it's a bit darker down here. And then use that Van Dyke brown again. You see where I'm just going back and forth, trying to get that colour. And it's really good that we can get so many layers over each other. Because I think I just struggled otherwise, sort of having to erase colours, because I couldn't like work over the top or anything like that. And now this section here needs to be darker. But I think I'm going to leave this video here for now because it's already filmed over an hour, and I don't want this video to be too long for YouTube. But what I will do, if you want to see the final outcome, I may post it at the end of this video, depending when I finish this and when I'm posting this video. Hopefully I can finish this first, and then I'll put a little shot of this at the end when it's all finished so you can see the final outcome. I'm just going to zoom out once more so you can see the whole piece there. Ignore my little setup and my tripod and phone in there. There you go, you can see him. Hopefully he looks like a nice shiny horse and not just a weird horse with lots of coloured stripes all over him. But I do need to work on this neck a little more and blend it out. And get it looking a bit more shiny and not stripy. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. I appreciate every one of my subscribers, and it helps my videos get seen more, and helps me get out there a little bit more. So if you enjoyed this video, if you've got any questions, just pop a comment down below and I will get back to you. And I will see you all in my next video. Thank you for watching, everyone. Bye!